So let's start. Make yourself comfortable in the chair and have a little think about your posture. You want to try and have your feet flat down, weight a little bit forwards, so you can feel a bit of your weight in the soles of your feet. So from the side, there will be this very slight angle, and it differs here from the standing posture in terms of structure, but in terms of the quality, the feel of the posture, it should be the same, that you feel as though your legs are supporting you, legs and feet, about a third of your weight in your feet. Your hips are supporting you, obviously, because that's where you're sitting in the chair. And again, that's a little different to the standing posture. Your back is supporting the front of your body, and with that slight angle forwards, you can sometimes feel that more clearly. And as you rest there, get that feeling of your weight dropping down. Releasing a little bit in your back, your shoulders, releasing some of the tightness and stiffness. And increasingly aware of this sense of an inner structure, that the bones of your skeleton, your legs, your pelvis, your spine, your rib cage and collarbone support you from inside. And the more that we can get a feeling of releasing some of that tightness, especially in shoulders and upper back, we tend to want to sort of pull ourselves up. The less we do that, the more we're aware, and the more we become confident in that support from within. And then rubbing your hands together and tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder, your arm. To the side. Yeah. Put light on your belly. And then your legs. Sitting back in your chair, so in a reclining position. And again, letting your weight drop back, which in this position tends to come a little bit more easily. And that feeling of settling into the chair. Excuse me. And it's that settling feeling that I was talking about when we become more aware of the inner support that we get from our skeleton, from the area around our skeleton, so the various muscles and tendons and ligaments associated with the central skeleton. We learn to settle in. To get a drink. Better, sorry about that. Okay, so it's good to be able to focus on this feeling of, or however you can put it, settling, releasing, relaxing, softening. And we want that to become part of our normal way of moving. Way of moving, way of standing, way of sitting. You could, for instance, if it helps you to focus on your breathing, when you breathe in, notice whether you're habitually straining in, say, your chest or your shoulders to sort of force the air into your lungs. Are you able to just change that so that rather than forcing the air down, try to start the in breath in your belly if you can, but even if not, just take a slightly gentler approach to filling your lungs with air. So coming back to the upright position, once again, about a third of your weight forwards in your feet, feeling your hips and feet sinking downwards, so feet sinking into the floor, hips sinking into the chair. And then just slowly and gently turning your head. And then hands in front of, just resting in front of your shoulders, moving your elbows back. We're going through the different areas of the body, just to, of course, loosen them up a little bit to get them moving, to get the energy flowing, but also to just notice them, to pay attention to them, get a sense for the movement in that air, in those areas. And then going forwards. Hands down to your sides and slightly angled outwards, just rotating your arms, winding them around. And raising them up, and this time going all the way around as though you're winding up silk thread. And back the other way. And easing forwards and pushing back. So just tilting, rocking on the bones, the base of your pelvis. Letting gravity just pull you down into your feet gently. So don't go too far forward, of course. You don't want to fall out of the chair. And then to come up, a gentle press down through your feet. And also a bit of a pull, as though somebody was sitting behind you, grabbing hold of the top of your trousers and pulling you back. So one way or another, coming up with as little strain as possible in your upper back, your neck, your shoulders, and in particular with that pull backwards from your hips, making use of the pull of gravity to help you come to the upright position. So this aspect of the posture helps us to maintain that softer quality in the upper part of our body. And with that, there's a sense of spaciousness developed, less tightness, less stiffness, more space. It's like if you're wearing a shirt half a size too small, your movement's restricted. So this allows for that internal flow of movement. Now turn a little bit in your hips, so more of your weight now goes into one leg. The part of the body, whether it's a leg or a hip or both hips or whatever, that carry the majority of the weight are referred to as the full part. So when you go forward, your leg fills upwards. So try and get a feeling that your weight drops down into your foot like water being poured into a glass and then fills up. And this is quite a good exercise to practice that with, and it's something that when you get used to it, you can bring into the standing postures as well. Now turn the other way. Just notice whether, say for instance, if you've had a problem with the knee, whether you're able to sort of just allow the movement through the knee, whether you need to make some kind of adjustment. You may have done something with your knee to make it go out of line to ease problem with the knee. We often do that. But you don't just want to let the knee collapse, for instance. So it can take a while to build up this feeling of filling up. But then turn, going around in a small circle, the pelvis rolling around. So we feel the transition of full to empty from foot to foot, from foot to hip, from hip to hip. And that begins to be a major driving force for the movement. So these are useful practices for both the seated and the standing exercises. And then change direction. Good. And come back to the center. And then just to extend the legs a little bit, step out, put your heel down, lower your toes, and pull back. And on the other side. move. Okay, hands down to your sides again. So turn your hand palm forwards and then linking up the transfer of your weight forwards and backwards with that rotation of your arms. The combination of your weight moving and your arms rotating gives you quite a lot of movement in your arms. But you notice when I do this, I'm not actually moving my hand forwards and backwards separately. I'm not doing that. So my arms stay hanging directly out from my shoulders. And I like to start with this exercise because of that, to help us appreciate how much movement takes place in our body in these arts before there's actually any, if you like, independent movement with our arms. The arms express the build-up of movement through weight moving and the interaction of expansion and contraction through your body. And then leaving your hands facing backwards, fisherman cast the net. This time, as your weight stops in your feet, your arms swing through a little bit more. And here, so you're moving in water, your arm held back a little bit. So pulled through, likewise, reverse movement. So for most of the time, your arm, your hands, and your fingers are trailing behind the shoulders. And then next time you go forwards, imagining there's a ball between your arms and your body. So as you come back, your hands are just drawn over the ball as though you're rolling the ball in towards your chest and then down. So try not to have the idea that you're lifting your arms. They will come up quite naturally. Imagine the ball there. And if you came back, if you lifted your arms, you'd lose contact with the ball. Just drawn over. As you get more experienced at these and recognizing the patterns of movement in your body, you may also begin to notice an expansion of this exercise with belly and chest, creating an almost wave-like energy, pushing your arms up. we tend to notice those sort of movements within the body over a period of time as we learn to move our arms less, paradoxically. In other words, to put less effort, direct effort into our arms, more into the rest of the body. And this time, turn your hands palm in, feel the expansion in the chest, pushing your arms away. This pigeon spread this way. Going forwards, and the opening in your back. Still, if it's useful, that image of moving through water. One more time. Then pushing away. And that elbow still going out a little bit, but hand staying more in front of your head. Gently curving up as you go forwards. One more time. Come back, this time leave your elbows in, but in front of your hip. Make a fist with both hands, a loose fist, going forwards, rotating your arms. Again, the majority of the movement comes from the movement of your weight from front to back. This is how it looks if I do nothing at all with my arm. The angle of my elbow staying the same. This is how it would look if I didn't move my weight. So starting from the back, the arm would extend out a little bit and back, and you can see it's less movement than with the weight. So it's the combination of the two that gives the range of movement. And again, these are general principles. These are expressions of general principles that apply to all the movements. We're looking to feel that the whole body and mind are really engaged in any one particular movement, not just one part of the body. And then open your fingers, turning your hands out. This helps to create a feeling of connection of the whole of our body engaged in the movement. Very different feeling to one that we can have sometimes of being a little bit sort of disconnected from ourselves. So the overall feeling of pulling ourselves together, moving as one unit, contributes a great deal to this quality of well-being. This time, when you come back, turn your hands palm down. Turn a little bit to one side. Tilt forward so you're going towards one leg and just let the arm extend a little bit. Turn across so your weight moves across to the opposite foot. And then come back into the hip, bringing your hands in, back to the center. Do that in the other direction. Turn, move forwards, let your arms extend a little bit, come across, weight in your left leg now if you're mirroring my movements, and back, and turn to the front. And then just letting that movement flow so it becomes circular, just polishing the table. So those stages will overlap, but we still want to be clear on those stages. You turn, tilt forwards, arms extend, weight moves across, coming back, arms gathering in, back to the center, and then reverse. One more time. Then just rest for a moment in this seated position. Once again, just check that you feel that support. Notice if it feels any different after doing a series of exercises. Sometimes we feel a change, sometimes not. Sometimes it's a physical change. Sometimes it also includes change in awareness because the exercises help to focus our attention. You bring your hands in so they're cradling the ball. Gentle press downwards through feet and hips creates an upward movement, your back lengthening, contracting. And again, this sort of wave-like movement expanding up through belly, solar plexus and chest. Moving your arms. Movement starts with a downward push, and that's important. It's called rooting down. And it emphasizes the fact that the start of a movement upwards or outwards actually begins with a sort of affirmation, if you like, of the root, of that connection to the ground. So that habit of making that connection is a very important one that will help you to stay more stable in your life when you're moving around and just daily activities. And then changing wild goose. So really all movements in Tai Chi will start with that connection downwards, one way or another. So the root provides stability. It allows for that sense of space and movement for our body. Can also be said to be, again, a major source of the energy itself. So easing forwards, parting the clouds. Settle into your hips, pushing up. Just be aware with this and probably with the next exercise as well, that we're not stretching. Notice this is as far as I will go. There's still room for a little bit more movement there. Not because stretching is a bad thing to do, but because we're not stretching in these exercises. We're trying to retain that space for movement. We go to 80% of the full movement. One more time. This time, don't go forwards. Just let your arms drop down. And with the next feeling of expansion, dragon plucks the stars from the sky. On one side, your arm being pushed up. And then this rotating, plucking movement, pulling down. Changing sides. Extending, contracting, trying to feel that expansion as much as you can through the whole of the side of your body. From your foot to the outside of your leg, up through the side and the rib cage, into your arm, then contracting back down. One more on each side. And then bring your hands around, pressing up. This time, both hands and palms of your hands as much as possible, facing upwards, as though you're pressing your hands against the flat ceiling, and then down. And alternating that movement with a sideways movement, pushing away and drawing back. Both these movements, you want to try and keep your hands a little bit in front of your body, keeping a longer, broader, more supportive feeling in your back. Just be aware of the quality of movement in your back, as though it's being very gently massaged. This time, when you push out sideways, add into this a small turn in your hips, so you change the direction of your arms. Come back, change, turn in the other direction, and back, and then facing forwards and pushing out. Emphasizing the role of the center of our body in terms of shaping, directing the arms. Do one more round of this. So this time, as you face forwards and push your arms out, just extend one leg, knee a little bit bent, ease forwards, so you're going to scoop water up in your arms. Again, that feeling of your hips dropping back, drawing your head back up, drawing your arms over, just scooping the sea and looking at the sky. One more time. And then counterbalance that dropping downwards, loosely fist your hands again, ease forwards and grasp in the tiger's ears. Move your weight forwards and pull your arms through, nice and relaxed in your shoulders. And then change over. Scoop in the sea, looking at the sky. And grasp in the tiger's ears. Bring your foot. Okay, so just rubbing your hands together again. Tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder, your arm, the other side, and the upper part of your chest. Your belly and your legs. And then just pushing your heels up. You get the muscles of your legs working a little bit before we stand. And circling around one direction and then back in the other. Great. Okay. So standing. So I spent a lot longer on the seated exercise today, I've noticed. So I'm going to go straight into what we call the bow stance. So when you stand, feet hip width apart, and imagine parallel lines going through your feet. Turn one foot out and step forward with the other, keeping the width of the step. And then moving your weight. Once again, feeling the legs filling and emptying. If you remember, I referred to that earlier, the seated exercises. Trying to keep your shoulders in line with your hips, keeping the feeling of your weight sinking. Pelvis remaining level. So in the standing postures, for the most part, we will remain upright rather than that slight angle forwards that we had with the seated postures. But the same feeling of support from your legs, from your back, from the skeleton. And then just raising your toes a little bit, so more of your weight settled in the back foot. You have the front foot turned out a little bit. Back heel coming up, sinking down. Just careful, as always, with your hips and your knees. Trying to allow free passage for your weight, for the pull of gravity, down in to the ground. So again, your leg pinning upwards rather than straining to resist the movement downwards. And then just seeing if you can step in. And then run the foot forwards. Try the same thing again. Learning how to move around, maintaining your root, maintaining your alignment. Raising your toes and your heel. And then stepping in. And take a few steps forwards. Foot comes in, forwards and out. Or backwards if that's where you've got the space. It doesn't matter which way we would do both. I'm going to change direction after this one. I'm going to go back, raising my toes. Foot comes in again. Feeling back, planting the foot down. Shake. Have your right foot forward, so mirror my movements. Hands at your sides and easing forward in the standing version of fisherman castanet. This lovely wave-like flow through the body. Moving your arms gently, soften your shoulders. This time as you go back, turn a little bit to your left, Let your arms swing down and then up, just below shoulder height. Go forwards, turning to your right. Bring your hands down across your hips and up, making a sideways figure of eight, or maybe thinking of the infinity sign used in physics and mathematics. Good. Again, on the other side. So, as in the seated exercises, that feeling of your weight dropping, the expansion from that, the transfer of your weight, principal factors in providing the energy for the movement. And then turning and the next time you go forwards, just turn your front foot out a little bit. And as your arms come up, let your back foot come in. Take a step, plant the foot, and come forward. Or again, you could go backwards, depending on where the space is. Combining the step in with this figure of eight movement. Maybe with a slight lift in your knee, maybe not. It doesn't matter either way. What suits you best. I'm going to change direction now. And bring your feet back. Lovely. Go back to your chair. Once again, give yourself a chance to appreciate not just the physical structure of the posture, but the quality, the feeling within your body that you get from that. Supported, with a sense of the movement within your body, movement like your breathing, your circulation. Just trying to keep your attention focused internally. Let your hands drop down. And then push your arms out. This time, bring them around. They're going to hold a ball against your chest. Your elbows drop, bringing your hands in, and then with that feeling of really settling, letting your hands drop down. Embrace tiger. return to mount. Coming back to a settled, calm quality in mind and body. One more round. And rest. Lovely. Thank you very much for watching, joining in, everybody.